Buongiorno ragazzi, welcome to our Geek Talks. Our Geek Talk continues. It's a real pleasure to have an incredible guest today. Welcome Ricardo da Costa. Ciao Riccardo.
Hey Gaetano, hey everyone. I'm delighted that you can have me here today. I'm so excited and also at the same time nervous because I do understand that your show is a big deal. So I'm honored. I'm truly honored to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you very much for your words. It's really a pleasure to have you here and to hear that you appreciate our work to share knowledge about open source. We do a lot of everything is possible to share knowledge about how important is open source to the entire world, not only for geek or nerd like us, but for everyone's. Open source matters. Open source is important.
You know that open source has changed my life. It really has. I would not be where I am today. I would not have the experiences that I have today without open source software. So yeah, thank you for allowing me to say that.
Thank you very much. Ricardo, first of all, let me say that our Geek Talks are going live, streaming to different channels, LinkedIn, but most important, YouTube, but also on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook. We are trying to spur our voice wherever is possible. And also, it's going live, but someone maybe are missing our webinar, our podcast, and it is possible to hear our podcast using the usual channel for podcast. The recording audio of this Geek Talk will be a podcast on Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, wherever is possible.
Oh wow! You mean I get to be famous?
Exactly.
I want to be on Twitch and YouTube.
Ricardo, you are already famous, but let's go straight to our point. First of all, Ricardo, can you tell us your story from the beginning?
So I was born on the 8th of April, if you want to go all the way to the beginning. But I think you want to hear more about the sort of technological aspect of where things started for me. The journey started for me when I was in high school. It was my final year of high school. And someone said, check this out. It was Slackware Linux at the time. Check this out. It's going to change your life. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I really am interested in computers. But I took it for granted that this was going to change my life. And I installed it. I did not know what to do with it. and eventually I went to university, and it became more apparent that I'd need to use something a bit more than Windows. And at university, we used FreeBSD. That was something that was really popular. And I got into the FreeBSD world, and I came across Red Hat Linux. So it wasn't Red Hat Enterprise Linux. We're talking about Red Hat Linux right now.
Which version? Which version?
3. Yeah, that's the one. Same for you?
My for 5 was
okay.
the version 5.
Okay, so I remember coming across Red Hat Linux 3, and I installed it, and oh my goodness, it was so much easier than using FreeBSD, and certainly much easier than using something like Slackware. And I really got onto this. And I remember some of my mates mocking me about, oh, you're taking the easy way out. You have to compile your applications from source. And I thought, why do I have to do all of this hard work? And that goes along with one of my favorite sayings, which is work smarter, not harder. And I really do believe that. And Red Hat Linux back then, through RPM, really gave me the ability to deliver applications and to install applications on a Linux platform with very little fuss. So that is where my love for Red Hat Linux came to be. And I must tell you that at the time, I mean, we were still busy working with Unix systems, but I fell in love with Red Hat Linux at that time. And I just sort of continued using it. And I remember getting the, I don't know if you remember, something, I think it was 2 Cows, or there was some, or maybe Amazon in the day when they were only doing books, but I remember ordering from the USA, ordering a bunch of CDs. And I got the CDs and I was really excited, and I could install Red Hat Linux. I started 3, then 4, then 5. And I think it was at 5 that things really began to make, things really made a lot more sense for me. And that is when I really started using it. And that was like, sort of the day where, or the time when the internet was at its peak. can I say it's its peak? Maybe it's at its peak right now. Who knows? But the internet was exciting stuff back then. And setting up web servers, making services available. And I remember setting up an IRC server using Red Hat Linux back then. And it was exciting because I could set up this platform for people to communicate with each other. And oh man, that just was really exciting. And then from there, I kind of left the IT world for a little bit. A lot of people don't know this, that I left IT for a little bit and I went into radio. Yes.
Wow.
I was in radio for a little bit. And I realized that I really wanted to get my hands dirty and I wanted to work with technology. And it kind of brought me back into tech. And where it started is that I got a phone call one day to say, hey, we know that you know Linux. There are no Linux professionals in this country that can share information. I know that you speak really well. And would you like to present this course? And I said, sure, I'll talk. Now, this was in the days where there was no official training material. And especially in my country, there was nothing official. So what I basically did is that I had to sort of construct ideas on my head, come up with labs, come up with scenarios, and deliver a little bit of training around Linux because there was just nothing available. And I thought this was really an exciting prospect.
I remember the time. I remember the time very well.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I left radio and I came back into the world of IT and I have not looked back since.
Wow. Incredible story. Let me say that you are not the only friend that left the IT world for radio, then came back to the IT world. It's quite interesting to see the analogy to IT world and radio world. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
Ricardo, what happened to on your nose?
I live in South Africa, and I could come up with this glamorous story about fighting a hyena or coming across a lion in my backyard and having to wrestle it and get it out of my backyard.
Come on.
But the real story is we have a puppy. we have a puppy. And playing with the puppy yesterday, the timing could not have been worse. But playing with the puppy yesterday, you cuddle it, you hold it, and he put his paw in my face. And over the weekend, I got one over here. You maybe can't see it because it's healed up a little bit. But this one over here was yesterday's. And allow me, if I can, I just want to share my screen with you for a moment.
Yeah, sure, please.
I'm going to figure out how to do this now. Oh, look at this fancy software.
It is.
There we go.
Wow.
That is the monster.
What a beautiful. It's beautiful.
You got the better of me yesterday. So yeah, that is what happened to my face. Like I said, I could always tell you this glamorous story, but that's the reality of the situation.
Ricardo, tell me something about more detail on when you discovered open source. You already tell us that your friends during the high school told you about Slackware. It was also my first Linux distro. Interesting, really interesting times. But tell us more about meeting Red Hat and becoming an instructor. That point that you say, okay, present a course on Linux.
Back then, Red Hat training was just starting. It was becoming more popular, and they needed instructors. And I was one of the fortunate instructors to get onboarded as a Red Hat certified instructor. And I think this was back in 2010. And so that is when my journey with sort of being a Red Hat instructor started. And I absolutely loved that. And you know what was really weird? Is that I had to get my training from someone that had to come from outside of the country and deliver the training to me. And back then, there was so much pressure to pass exams because the instructor would come from another country, deliver the training between Monday and Thursday, and then come Friday, that's exam day. And there was so much pressure to pass that exam because if you did not make it, well, then you would either have to leave your country, go somewhere else, or the instructor would have to come back and that would be a great expense. So there was so much pressure back then to pass that exam on a Friday. So I remember the feeling that I got when I failed the EX200, the Red Hat Certified Systems Administrator. I failed that exam because it was my first experience with the Red Hat exam. And as you know, as our customers know, our exams are practical. And what it means is that when you pass our exams, it's a promise to your employer or anyone who wants to hire you that you have real skills, that you have skills associated with that certification. And while theoretically, I was very comfortable with Linux, taking the exam was really tricky because it's like, what did I do wrong? What do you mean I failed? And I did miss the exam, and I was very lucky that I could retake the exam, and I passed it the second time. And I remember the feeling of absolute delight when I got my Red Hat Certified Engineer. You're welcome. Congratulations on getting the Red Hat Certified Engineer. Because I remember the feeling that I had when I passed the exam. I think it was the EX254 exam. Is that right? Back in the day, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, it's the 254, exactly.
Yeah. I remember just the absolute delight because you needed to pass that exam to become a Red Hat Certified Instructor. So that was the key to becoming a Red Hat Certified Instructor. So once I got there, I just loved delivering training. And I think that our training material is the best in the world. And it's not just because I'm wearing this shirt right now. It's not just because I have a redhat.com email address. I really mean that. And I would not be affiliated with Red Hat unless I believed in this company, unless I believed in our vision. I want to say something, that our labs are world-class. They're absolutely world-class. And I know that I'm jumping ahead of myself right here. Forgive me. But I want to tell you that the Red Hat Learning subscription changed me because I'm a customer. I'm just not one of the presenters on the videos. I still use the Red Hat Learning subscription. Do you mind if I just share something else with you?
Please.
Okay, let me share my screen. So we don't want to look at the puppy again now, do we? No, we don't. Okay, so
and we are
my very own Red Hat Learning subscription. And I want to zoom in on something.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I've used 266 lab hours in 142 days. I use the Red Hat Learning subscription for my own upskilling. Now, I know that doesn't reflect very well on the student guides downloaded and the exams that I've taken. I take exams using another way, and we can talk about that if you like as well.
Sure.
But I must say that I myself use this platform, and for the labs, I need to take courses. I need to learn new things. And one of the things that I really enjoy doing is experimenting, setting up scenarios in my head, setting up sort of scenarios that maybe students may want to encounter in future. And I can share with you one example. Okay. We have this wonderful course called DO480, and it's all about multi-cluster management using Open Platform Plus. And one of the things that we show you in that course is how to set up a policy that would ultimately scan your OpenShift cluster for expired certificates, because we know what a pain that is, right? Your certificate expires, your application break. I mean, everything is not healthy right now, and your users are complaining. So now, how do we fix that? Well, we can fix that by installing a new certificate. But now this is manual work. And as I told you early on, work smarter, not harder. And one of the ways that you can sort of deal with that scenario is through automation. Now, one of the most exciting things to happen in OpenShift is the Ansible operator. So what you can do is that you can set up the Ansible operator to do the remediation of expired certificates. So here we have this policy that will scan your OpenShift cluster. It will scan for certificates that have expired or nearing expiration, and then you can trigger an Ansible playbook to go and install a new certificate, to generate a new certificate from your certificate authority and install that certificate. So it's just like a scenario like that I come up with in my head, and now I need to deliver upon that, right? So I need to maybe talk about it or explain that to students in a class. So I need a lab environment. So what do? I go and fire up my Red Hat Learning subscription, and I set up that scenario. And that accounts for my 266 lab hours that I've used. But sort of just to circle back over here, the labs are really important. And on Monday to Friday, when I was becoming a Red Hat certified instructor and taking exams, taking training, the pressure was there to pass that exam on a Friday. Now, I didn't just stop at the Red Hat certified engineer. I wanted more. I wanted a lot more. So I heard about the certification called the Red Hat certified architect. And then I came across Florian Brand's story, who's the world's first Red Hat certified architect. and Lena Jensen, who's the world's second Red Hat certified architect. And basically,
I'm the 14th.
The 14th. Wow.
14th.
Okay. I'm certainly nowhere there, but I wanted to get there. So I went to my employer at the time and I said, please enable me. And this is my goal. I want to become a Red Hat certified architect. Please help me get there. And they said, sure, we'll help you get there. Now, I live in South Africa. It is far away from where the real training was happening. So I remember that, and I think that I met you for the first time in Austria, in Vienna, Austria. And it was the performance tuning class.
Yeah.
And I flew to Vienna, Austria, long flight from South Africa, taking the class between Monday and Thursday. And the exam was on Friday. And oh my goodness, that was my first exam when it came to my Red Hat certified architect. I could not have chosen a worse exam because it's one of the most difficult exams out there. You know, the 442, the performance tuning exam. And then I came back, I passed that exam. Oh, thank you. I passed that exam, coming back to South Africa, now wanted more. And I remember having to travel to the USA, to I think Finland at one stage as well, to take these courses and to take the exam. And the pressure really was there to be successful. And luckily, I never failed any exams taking my RHCA track because I understood the Red Hat way of testing.
Sure.
You know, that the exams are practical, that you need to be able to do the work. And typos matter because if you have to create a user called Gaetano and you don't spell it correctly, well, you're not going to get graded correctly. You're not going to get the points associated with that. So even the little things matter, like, you know, the typos or forgetting to do one little thing. It's going to count against you. But let's go and fast forward right now to the Red Hat Learning subscription. Right now, I can take exams from home, from South Africa, without having to hop on a plane, fly somewhere, and have that pressure to take the training between Monday and Thursday, and then afterwards take the exam on the Friday. Now what I can do is that I can fire up my learning subscription. I've got the subscription for a year. I can take the training. I can have fun with the lab environment. And like I said, the lab environment is the real hero. Okay?
Exactly.
I can get my hands dirty because that is how you're going to pass. That is how you're going to be successful. And that is how you're going to learn. Time on the keyboard is of paramount importance. So get your hands dirty with the lab environment, really learn, grasp, and understand the technology. And then fast forward to the exam, you can walk in there with the greatest of confidence because now you have the experience. You know what to do and what not to do and how to do things. And then you know the exam the first time. But I'm grateful that and the highest level of Red Hat Certified Architect that I climbed was RHCA level 17. That's a lot of exams.
Definitely, a lot. Ricardo, I remember very well that time in Vienna. A lot of friends was there, Piotr and so on, some other colleagues. I remember that course, the performance tuning course, the exam. I was there. I've done also that exam. But let me say another thing. I've been in Johannesburg a long time ago, in 2011, if I remember fine, delivering training, and it was just exactly that course, the performance tuning course, the most difficult course, but also the most interesting course from a lot of point of view. Ricardo, but let me ask you: are you standing in front of your desk, or are you sitting? Are you standing?
I am. I know. I'm standing. My chair's over there in a different direction, and I just find that standing allows me to better project. It allows me to better showcase my personality and to better engage with customers. I think that if I'm sitting, I'm kind of limited. I'm kind of cramped, and I don't like that feeling. So I enjoy what I do. I love talking to our customers, and I love presenting our technologies. And the performance tuning class, I've got an interesting one about that. But standing for me allows me to better shine. And I've got a standing desk. I press a button, the desk raises. Let me hit the other button. So,
Okay.
So I'm just going to stop it over there.
Yeah.
There we go. And then I can press another button and my desk comes up. So it keeps me awake. It keeps me alive. And I'll tell you something interesting as well, that in the studio, I'm standing. So when you watch those videos that are produced, I'm standing all of the time. So I prefer to present in that way, and I like using my hands as well. So I think that if I was sitting, that I'd be more limited, I'd be more cramped.
Totally agree with you. I will try. I actually don't have a standing desk, but I will try, because I find your description perfectly matching to the spirit of the instructor. And let me say, Ricardo, you already tell us, but a certified instructor, an instructor, it's an upper level. It's I think is the most beautiful work that we can do, because there is a lot of technology. There is interaction with technology, dirty hand on the labs, on installation, on training, but also interaction with people and knowledge transfer. I think it's the best way to achieve our mission as a geek, as an instructor, as a communicator, from a lot of point of view.
I get such a kick out of exactly what you had described right now. Sort of traveling around the world and engaging with our customers, being there in a classroom with them and getting excited about technology, and then watching them get excited as well.
Exactly.
And they go, oh, show me more, show me more. And that's something that we can't get from a video, right? Because the video is kind of one-way communication. But in a real classroom, it's two-way communication. So I can get excited, they can get excited, and we can kind of feed off each other's energy.
Exactly.
And I've traveled to 6 continents, Antarctica being the one continent that I've not traveled to. But I've engaged with customers over 6 continents, and I've gotten excited showcasing technology, getting my kick from that. And I've watched them get excited as well. And one of the things that I also love is that if a student wants more information, we can hang out after class, and I can sit down with them and I can say, watch this, check this out. And anyone else who's interested is welcome to join, of course. But if one student asked me that question, like, so how would you encounter, or how would you deal with this scenario? Then it's like, whoa, this is my opportunity right now.
Exactly.
Let me show you. Let me show you something cool. And I go sit down right next to them. So yeah, I also get that kick out of showcasing our technologies. Love it. I
love it too. And your description match exactly what we did a lot of time. Let me show you how I will do that. I will try to do together and transfer my experience to you as instructor, as a student. Totally agree with you. It's wonderful. Let me jump back to the learning subscription. You are a frontman of a lot of training courses, training classes in the Red Hat learning subscription. How many did you record?
That is a very good question. And I think that executive producer Jim is the best person to answer a question like that. But I've done several installments of the Red Hat Certified Engineer track. So that would be courses like the RH124, the 134, and now the 294. So I've done that several times, starting with, I think, RHEL 7, RHEL 8, now RHEL 9. I see Pranesh. Hey, Pranesh, good to have you over here. Cloud Forms, I remember that one as well, presenting the content for that, and several other courses as well. We just recently wrapped up the DO 188, which is OpenShift Development 1, which is an introduction to Podman, Kubernetes, and OpenShift. So that is the most recent course that we filmed. And I'll tell you something interesting about that. That was filmed from here, from my home. So with the platform that we have right now, we're able to do remote recording. So sometimes, especially during the pandemic, we were not able to travel into the studio. And the studio work is just fantastic. We have such a good atmosphere. And I can talk more about that separately. But some of the courses we were able to start filming at home through the pandemic, because people still wanted to learn. People still wanted to use our technologies and to acquire knowledge and skills, and we needed to deliver on that.
During pandemic, because all of us have more time to spend studying and finding new tools, new instruments, new topics to cover.
Yeah. So the show couldn't stop. So we had to continue making content for our customers. And I remember the first time it was really difficult about sort of getting the lighting right. And I didn't have a green screen as well. So you kind of saw the the same background that you would see in one of the videos. And I think the first one that we had done was the RH403 class, which is the satellite administration class. So we had filmed that from our very home during the pandemic, and it went live shortly afterwards. But now we've gotten smarter about our approach. I've got a good quality camera right now. There's a green screen that I can whip out, and we can sort of overlay the Red Hat background. So it looks like I'm inside of the studio, but I'm not. I'm really inside of my home. But I must say that I still do prefer to go into the studio. We have a wonderful studio, by the way. It's located in Westford, Massachusetts, in the USA. And it gets really hot. So every now and then, I tend to sweat and my head begins to shine. The light reflects off my head. But this is where producer Jim really shines, because not only is he the executive producer, he's also a makeup artist. He'll come with his makeup brush and he'll start applying makeup, and you'll look at the camera and be like, okay, I can still see a little bit of shine, and he'll polish up my head and sort of give it a more matte finish. So it's always a lot of fun. And I must say that we have great chemistry, because I'm only as good as what they allow me to be. And we kind of need to feed off each other. And there's some jokes every now and then as well. It's a very jovial atmosphere inside of the studio. I remember initially as well playing a couple of pranks on the guys. And we got a new producer that came on, and I told Jim, I said, just play along, okay, just play along. And I was just telling him that I have these outbursts every now and then, and I can't control them. And I was just sort of wondering how he was going to deal with those outbursts. And he just got this look in his face and said, "Don't worry, we will do it." It's like, "Oh, I'm just kidding with you. Everything is fine." And when Jim does my makeup, every now and then as well, so I got my eyes closed and he's busy applying the makeup. And then I just go, "Ah!" And he gets a big fright. And we all end up laughing. But the atmosphere is jovial. We talk to each other.
That's
and
important.
You can kind of see it coming through in the videos as well, because if it was all like doom and gloom inside of the studio, then the videos would kind of be doom and gloom as well.
Sure,
they wouldn't have that
definitely.
same happy atmosphere. And that is what we endeavor to do, is to create a happy atmosphere for our customers to consume knowledge, to acquire skills, and to be able to apply that in the real world. So I'm grateful for the platform that not just the production team has given me inside of the studio, but also the support that everyone at Red Hat gives me to do what I do. So I'm really grateful for you, for our customers, and for everyone that supports me. And I just want to say thank you, because this would not be possible without you.
I totally agree with you, and let me say that this is one reason why Without Learning subscription is so important for all IT professionals to level up their skill on technology that are so important right now. You told us about OpenShift, but there is also Ansible. We have information about CloudForms, but a lot of technology covered by that needs a constant upskill process that elevate, pull up the competence, the skills of our team, or our customers, or our team to manage in the right way. And Without Learning subscription is perfect to do that.
Yeah. And I must also say that taking a Red Hat training course, let's just say 4 years ago, is different to taking a Red Hat training course today, because technology changes, technology evolves. Things are deprecated, and they're deprecated in favor of better things or of newer techniques to achieve the same results. And I'm going to use Ansible for an example. Once upon a time, there was no such thing as Ansible collections, right? So maybe you took some training, and you took some basic Ansible training, the RH294 class, and I wouldn't say stop there or never take Ansible training again. Continue to take Ansible training, because you're going to learn new things. You're going to learn about things like collections and private automation hub and many more newer techniques, because things change. So taking a course once doesn't mean that you've taken that course and you can never ever take that course again. Revisit it. And I must also say that the way that the Red Hat Learning subscription interface is designed is that you can open up a course, you can go to a particular chapter that is of interest to you. So even if you have taken Ansible training before, you already know about things like how to install Ansible. You already know about the Ansible configuration files. But now you have this new chapter, and it's about collections. And using the interface, you can easily navigate to the topic around collections. You could consume the content, and then you can get your hands dirty. And I must say, the getting your hands dirty part is really important.
Totally.
Time on the keyboard is what is needed. And that's why I say the real hero when it comes to Red Hat training, it's, forgive me for saying this, but it's not the instructor, it's not the courseware, it's that lab environment. And of course, the instructor and the courseware, they're just supporting acts in this particular process. But the real hero is the lab. And that's and one thing that I can always encourage customers to do is to use the labs. Don't skip the labs. Get your hands dirty. Spend time on the keyboard and engage with the product.
Exactly. Totally agree. We've got a question from Johnny Alberis that asks us something. I agree with Ricardo said about learning subscription to be able to get hands-on experience. The problem I don't have the real-world experience on topic like OpenShift and such. How to come up with scenarios and practice if you lack the experience, the real-world experience? What do you suggest?
Reading. I thought there's very social media that I engage with. LinkedIn is one, but I think that what I really enjoy is Reddit. So looking at the subreddit and looking at the questions that are being posed over there. So a customer in either the subreddit for Red Hat or with OpenShift or with Ansible, they will ask a question, and then you think, that is a really good question. I don't know the answer to that myself because, they're coming with a real world question. How do I do this? I need to know how to do this. So what I will do is that I will take that information and I will draw inspiration from that. And I will go into my own lab because I've got my own lab running over here, so I could test things as well. So I will go to my own lab and I would try and solve the problem. And then I would go back to Reddit and I would say, here you go. This is how I would go about doing that. So scenarios that sometimes we don't have the scope to cover in training, like the one that I shared with you previously. Scenarios like that one regarding advanced cluster management, setting up a policy to scan your OpenShift cluster for expired certificates, and then using Ansible, using the Ansible operator to request a new certificate from the certificate authority, and then have that installed into OpenShift. That is something that we can't do. But I draw inspiration from various scenarios that customers use. And where I draw my inspiration from in particular is from Reddit. So I would check out the Red Hat subreddit. I mean, that's the bread and butter. There's also Ansible as well as OpenShift. And I must say that I really am loving OpenShift and Ansible at the moment because I feel that Ansible solves a lot of problems. And OpenShift is a wonderful platform for me to deliver. And where I got my inspiration and where I got my original kick for open source from is from having to sort of deliver for the internet, make things for the internet. And I used IRC, setting up an IRC server to facilitate that. And OpenShift right now is the platform where I can deliver internet-based applications, that I could set things up and I could, like a simple paste bin, for example. I need to share things with customers, right? I need to share snippets of playbooks. I need to share snippets of like commands or whatever it is. And setting up a paste bin in my own OpenShift instance has been a piece of cake. Something that I control, something that I administer, something that I am in charge of. And not only do I get the experience of setting up a Node.js application and then onboarding that to OpenShift, not only do I get that experience, but my students benefit as a side effect of that as well. Because now what I can do is that I can show them, I can say, well, this is what I did. And I got the source code from somewhere else. And what I needed to do was build the application right now. And these are some of the considerations that I had to go through. And I saw that the application was not being built using the Red Hat image, or maybe I wanted to use the Red Hat image, container image, and build the container image and now onboard it onto OpenShift. And I take them through that journey. And now you think, okay, well, how do I automate all of that?
Exactly.
How do I automate that? Because you did it manually, and now let's go and solve that challenge. And now this is where things like Helm comes into play. So let's put Ansible aside for a moment. Let's go and talk about Helm right now. And you get to deliver those scenarios inside of your students. So where do I go and get my real world experience? And I gave you the simple answer, which is to read. Have a look at Reddit. Look at the problems that others are experiencing, and think about how you can use technology to solve those problems.
Totally agree.
It's a wonderful question.
Absolutely, totally agree with you. And let me say that you have to see from the higher point of view the entire scenario. And what you described is perfect. Absolutely, I suggest the same. Ricardo, tell you that a friend of mine told me that Redact Learning subscription are really interesting, but there are a lot of spaces. Sometimes it's like Netflix. Too much stuff to choose, and you stay on your couch choosing what I say, going to sleep without choosing. How can we suggest to focus a specific topic or a specific path, a learning path for achieving the best result using Redact Learning subscription?
The bread and butter is always going to be the basics, sysadmin 1 and 2. So that would be the RH124 and RH134 classes. So, and I must say as well, Gaetano, I don't train the RH124 class very often to live students. And I had the opportunity to do that recently. And these students, they said that they had intermediate level experience with Linux. So they were not newbies. They had to go and take the beginner's course because their employer told them to take the beginner's course. And I remember getting to the topic around permissions and how permissions worked. And I showcased permissions. I did the demonstrations. I did the theory. And I must say that I absolutely love my whiteboard. Here's my whiteboard over here. So I just love my whiteboard. So I was going through the permissions, going through the theory around that. So the approach that I take is do a presentation reinforced by illustrations on the whiteboard. Then afterwards, go and do a demonstration to show it in action. So now we know the theory, or we've been presented with the theory. Let's go and see how permissions work in action. And I remember getting to this one topic and say, well, so would this particular user be able to access this file, or sorry, to delete the file? Would the user be able to delete the file? And normally everyone says, yes, they'd be able to delete the file. And it's like, actually, to delete a file from a directory, you need the right permission to the directory, not to the file. And it's like, oh, okay. And now it clicks, and now they get the understanding of permissions. But let's get back to the point. Don't underestimate the value of sysadmin 1 and sysadmin 2. That is the bread and butter, and that is where you should be starting.
Yeah.
And everything can sort of branch off from there. So look at some of the challenges that you may be experiencing in your own lab, in your own environment, in your own business, at work. Think about some of those challenges. And I think that the next natural progression after you've taken sysadmin 1 and sysadmin 2 is the Ansible course. Sysadmin 3, the RH294 class. Please take that class, because you'll begin to realize that doing things manually sucks. I mean, it's repetitive. You can be productive in other ways. And one of the ways that you can be productive is to learn something else. So automate the boring stuff that you've been doing all along. Learn how to make use of something like Ansible. And ultimately, you create these solutions, and you have a problem, and it's like, okay, let's go and run this playbook, and the problem goes away. And you can get back to whatever it is that you're doing. Maybe you want to watch Netflix, or maybe you want to take another course to learn about OpenShift. And now you have these legacy applications, these thick applications that are running on the older application servers. And now you have this, you're inspired. Now you're thinking, okay, how can I take this application and how can I run it in a more efficient manner? Maybe I want to learn about containers right now. And your starting point for something like that would be the DO188 course. Or maybe you're more into the admin side of things, and you can take the DO180 course. And we did release a new one as well, the DO180 course. It's been recently redone. There's lots of juicy content. It's quite a big course at this stage. but draw inspiration from your workplace, draw inspiration from your lab. One of the things that I do very often is that I create virtual machines almost daily. So I need a virtual machine to test something out. And I was thinking about this. Why is it that I'm creating virtual machines manually? Why am I doing that? And I know that it's easy, but why am I spending time clicking things, filling out forms and so forth? And I decided to automate the creation of a virtual machine. So I've got my own Ansible controller instance. I set up this thing called a survey. You'll learn about surveys as well in the Geo 467 course. So I set up a survey, and basically it's a simple form that I fill out, and I say, this is going to be the name of the virtual machine. This is the base operating system that is going to be used. This is how much memory and CPU I want, and all these other properties. And I click, okay, submit. And the Ansible playbook right now will go and provision that virtual machine, and it will drop me a note once the virtual machine is ready. And when I say the virtual machine is ready, I'm talking fully provisioned. The virtual machine is there. It's registered with my satellite server, and I can start to work with it right now. And that saves me a bit of time because it sucks doing things manually.
Totally.
And while my virtual machine is being provisioned, you know what I'm doing? I can do something else. Whatever that something else is, you can do something else. So yeah, think about the challenges that you are encountering right now in your own lab, in your own professional workplace, and think about how you can solve those problems.
Wow.
Take the Ansible training. Take the Ansible training. And from there, branch out to things that are of interest to you.
Totally agree. Wow. Ricardo, your description was absolutely perfect. And let me say that it's really important to follow the steps that you described. It's really important. The real life, the training, the goals, achievement, and the basic bread and butter, starting from the sysadmin 1 and sysadmin 2. It's exactly the perfect description. Ricardo, time is flying.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, actually, 44 minutes of our Geek Talk. It was a really interesting talk. Thank you very much for to be part of our Geek Talk world. We spend a lot of time sharing how much open source is important. It's really important for all of us. And thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm truly honored that I'm a guest on your show. It's very popular, so it's an incredible feeling to be here with you today. I look at it on LinkedIn, and it's like, wow, look at that. Gaetano is talking about this topic and that topic, and I'm a follower of what you do. So thank you for doing what you do, and thank you for having me, and thank you to everyone who's tuned in today. I really appreciate all the support that you've given to me.
We have some comments. Thank you very much. And just the last question, I just wanted to ask Ricardo, in his opinion, if we'll buy the learning subscription today, what I should focus on in order to be ready for the next 4-5 challenges in the IT world. Wow, what a question. We are running out of time. If you wanna just reply quickly.
Absolutely. You know, the technology is descriptive. It's not prescriptive. Technology changes. It evolves. And virtual machines were big. They are still big today. But if you look at the next evolution and how we are progressing, now we have this thing called KubeVirt. And we didn't have KubeVirt a couple of years ago, and we have Kubernetes virtualization right now. And it just sort of emphasizes how things change in the industry. So if you're talking about being ready for what's coming up, the challenges that are coming up in future, why don't you go and take the DO 316 course that talks about Kubernetes virtualization using OpenShift, so that when the challenge does come up in 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, you are ready. You've been there.
That's great.
So would I buy the RHLS today? Yes, I would. And like you saw, I use my Red Hat Learning subscription. I'm very fortunate that as a Red Hat associate that I'm given one. So I'm thankful for that. But it's not just to say that I get one and I don't use it. I use my Red Hat Learning subscription so that I myself can upskill.
Sure, exactly. Wow. That's great. Ricardo, thank you very much again. I hope to see you soon in real life, maybe, or just in a video conference to have a chat. And thank you, and see you soon.
I look forward to that. Cheers. Bye now.
Ciao. Ciao a tutti.